And so our plan for today is to talk about engaging students. You can see the slide that I'm showing you right now. The whole purpose of that is really to just kind of start class and get everybody centered on transitioning, play a little music, and I often get students asking me what songs I'm playing. I just play a mix of kind of independent and alternative and try to make it kind of upbeat if possible. Nothing that's going to be sad, of course. And then that's how I take attendance. So I have my chat automatically saved and I can go through there. I have a class of 39 students, so it's really helpful for me to be able to search through that rather than to try to get everybody on the screen during class sessions, which I do that sometimes as well. Alrighty, so here's what we're talking about. Digitally engaging students with Jamboard and Pear Deck. And today I'm going to demo both. And then I'm also going to share out the slide deck, the accompanying slide deck that has links to all of these things in here and some resources as well. All right, so next, what I have here are 2 links, of course, to our examples. And you can feel free to use these examples for testing, playing, whatever you might want to do. And just in case you're not aware, for any Google file, except Jamboard, I don't think does it, but Pear Deck, Google Slides, Google Docs, if anybody shares things with you and they give them to you as maybe a version, but they want you to not edit that particular copy, you can always go up to File and make a copy, and then you have your own version of whatever it might be. So that's a good way for you to share with students, but it's also helpful for you to use what I give you today. All right, so what I'm going to do is click on our Google Jamboard example. Actually, I already have it open back here, so I'm just going to click on that. All right, and what we have is the Jamboard and 2 different ways that you can get to the Jamboard. Jamboard is an application that works in the browser, so probably Google Chrome is going to be most apt because it is a Google product. So usually if you're using a Google application in Google Chrome, it will often work better than if you're using it in Safari or Firefox. Not to say you will have an issue, but just a tip. And the idea behind it is that you can have students engaged in slides and contributing to a variety of different ways of collaborating and sharing information. I have heard, just a little heads up, that there's a bit of a glitch from time to time with the number of students who are able to contribute and collaborate. Now, Google, if you ask them, they say that up to 50 contributors can be in a Jamboard at once. I do know that a couple of people have reported that they've had limits around 16 and 25. So just to be aware, if you do experience that, it is a known issue, and I don't have a workaround at this point. And I haven't heard everybody say that. So just a little tip on that. So to get to a Jamboard, the way that you would do that is in your Google Drive, you can click on plus to add a new type of file under more, and then you will see that you have apps and Google Jamboard should show up there. The other way to do this would be over on the right-hand side. If you have Google open, you have a browser, a new browser tab. You have your applications grid, and that is right next to the ASU logo and your picture or your initial, if that's where your Google account icon is. And if you scroll down, you'll have to scroll down actually a couple of different sections of applications, and you'll see the Jamboard logo. So that's how you would find it. Okay, and then what you can do is I have frames up here. I can click to the next frame. And so what I've already done is created a couple of different things. So what I would do if I'm instructing and I want my students to access this, I'm going to go up to share and make sure my permissions are set as I would like them to be. So if I click on get link down here and change, and I want all of my students who are logged in with ASU credentials to be able to edit this. And therefore, I'm going to make sure that I have this set as Arizona State University. So I just clicked on the drop down, and then I want to ensure that everybody is an editor, and then everyone will be able to access it. And then I can click copy link right here, click done, and of course I can share with them any way I would like. So what I'm going to do is paste right in here in the chat, which of course would be one way to do that. You can share it in Canvas, of course, or if you're a Slack user, you could share it in Slack as well. And then we'll be able to see everyone who's joining. So Amy has already joined, Tammy's in there, and of course we can see all of that. So what I've done, just to kind of illustrate what this looks like, is I have a couple of links here. They are not active links. So in Jamboard, if you actually copy and paste a link right here, it's not going to show up as an active link. Now students could potentially copy those off of there. So you might not want to share that type of information or content. But of course, the really big part that I think most people might use this is to replicate sticky notes. So if that's something you wanted students to write on and sort and move things around by color, by name, whatever it might be, that's really the key, I think, for Jamboard. You can definitely use it for collaboration as well, but this is an example. Let's say they had to read two texts, two different versions related to whatever the topic was of the day, and then you maybe ask them to produce a question, or you might actually put a question there for them to think about. So I put on the question here, how can I implement the learning suggested in the text? And then we see that Edgar, he responded with his sticky note and said one method might be to use a jigsaw activity. And he signed his name on there, so we can see who it is who is contributing. To create a sticky note, you just click on the left-hand side underneath the big arrow. We have our sticky notes. You can see we do have limited colors, but we do have some colors. And then, of course, you can add whatever message you want. And then you have the ability, once you click save, to move it around. So it always goes in the top left. You can move it around and you can rotate it if you would like to do, and move it however you would like. So that's just kind of a quick and easy, just showing you how you are able to use the stickies. You can add an image if you like. So just your normal adding an image by searching through Google image search, or your own drive, or uploading from your computer. And then there are some shapes right here that you can add. So you can see I added the arrow right here as an example. You can add text by clicking on the text box, and there's an example of that. You can actually use a laser pointer. So you can draw, have students look at that, and then it disappears just like a real laser pointer. And then up at the top, we have a pen, and you can change the different types of pen, or even have a paintbrush, and then change the color as well. So you can have those options, and then we have an eraser. So of course we can erase. And I have a background set here. So you actually can choose a different background. So if you are a mathematics person, want some graph background, or just a different color, of course you can see I chose the paper, looked like lined paper, but you can go with the solid white as well. You can create multiple frames. So I could actually just keep creating frames if I wanted to, and keep creating content to add to the Jamboard. So just so you're aware, if I were to go back to my drive right here, and actually I'm going to do it in a different tab. These show up just like any other Google file in your drive. So if I click on drive, and perhaps you can see it right here, but I very often will click on recent to see what I've last been looking at. So there it is. You can see that logo, engaging students with digital tech. So feel free to, if you want to write in here, add stickies, whatever you want to play. This is just an example. It's not for anything, important learning, as you can tell. Except, well, this is important learning. You're learning. And so, yeah, somebody added a doggy picture. That's super cute. Awesome. Love dogs. There you go. So pretty simple. You can see it has some limited capabilities, but it's accessible by everyone who's been in it. So you'll be able to see this. Your students will be able to see this afterward. Any questions on Jamboard before we transition to Pear Deck? Yes, Danielle.
So if you're making different slides, could you keep one, say Jamboard for one night session and then have different slides for different questions throughout the night?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so they call them frames.
Frames, okay.
But you could do that, yeah, just right up in the top.
Okay, so I could have maybe 2 different frames for one night, but then they would have that same link to get to.
Exactly, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Is there any way to keep content on a slide from being edited by students?
There is not. So yeah, that is something I don't think in Jamboard it has any way for us to look at revisions. I haven't been able to see that. So Tim in the chat asked a great question. It's almost like he was reading my mind because he said, how is this different from a shared slide deck? So it just really displays it differently and allows, I think the sticky note factor is the biggest thing because you just click and it creates a sticky note and allows you to drag it around, move it around. So if that's a strategy that you would frequently use with students, having them create and sort sticky notes or some like note cards or something like that, this would be a way to kind of replicate that hands-on experience. Now, if you're more concerned about kind of restricting and not having people edit each other's or knowing who edited each other's, then I would suggest a shared slide deck, okay? So a shared Google slide deck, what I would do is I would share just like we already shared with the Jamboard. I would share with everyone. And so I would come over here to share, and then I would make sure anyone in the group could, in this case, whoops, I just clicked on copy link instead of this, to edit, and then my students would be able to edit. I would assign them each a slide. So, you know, maybe you already have that pre-made, or you tell them, okay, create your slide and put your name on it. And then you can always see the revision history. And that is going to be, let's see here. I've got to see where I can see here. Last edit. So notice right here, open version history. And this is in any Google document like a slide doc or a doc. And then I can see who has made any edits. So that's your foolproof way for kind of monitoring and making sure somebody doesn't go in there and erase somebody else's content. And then you find, uh-oh, we're in trouble. And you can restore versions as well. So if I click on these 3 dots, I can name this version, I can make a copy, and then on this, I clicked on an earlier version, and I could click over here to restore this version. So that's how you would manage that. Okay, so I definitely don't want to do that. So I'm going to leave there. And any other questions?
Jody, I had a quick question about the Jamboard, just really quick. I don't see the same things of how to find it on my Google Doc.
Okay, so if you go up to your Google Drive, so let me just click on a new tab. This is probably the easiest way. Click on a new tab and your Google Apps grid. Okay. And then you will have to scroll down a bit. See, I had to scroll down that far and then I found Jamboard.
Okay, I'm sure I'll just check with you.
You can, yeah.
I'm good.
Karen. Okay, I will help you. It should be there because as long as you're logged into your ASU account, it should be there for you to access.
Okay,
Karen,
cool, thank you.
Karen, I had to go to Jamboard and then add it as an extension or something like that, and then it showed up on mine, but it wasn't there beforehand.
All right, so that's interesting. Thank you. I don't ever recall doing that, and it was just there for me. So I will look into that and send out a link on that.
I found it.
Oh, you found it?
Oh, I'm not muted. Oh, sorry. Okay, wait. Yep.
Yay! Well, share your joy, Karen. That's good. Okay. Yes, Amy.
Oh gosh, what was I going to ask? Oh yeah. Do you have to start each Jamboard slide from scratch, or can slides be imported from like a PowerPoint or a Google slide?
I think you have to do it from scratch.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep adding to a Jamboard, but I don't know of any way to import into one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so as we can see, it has kind of a small use, but some people really like it. So I wanted to share that with you for that purpose. Okay, so the next thing that we have in our presentation is Pear Deck. And this is, just something I really love. I've known about it and used it since, I think, 2014. And so you have the example that you can click on here, and then you can make your own copy, because I think I didn't share this particular example with everybody to edit. You will view it, but then you can make your own copy if it's something that you would like to do. All right, so what we're going to do now is go ahead and go to our example. Okay, and what I'm going to do is actually have this set up like a presentation, and we're going to go through this presentation. So for using Pear Deck, and I can send out this information, it's also linked in here. You actually do, if you use Google, you can use it through Google, or you can use it through Microsoft PowerPoint. So Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint. Some people call it clickers on steroids or PowerPoint on steroids, because it allows students to engage with the content that you're sharing, and it's not just a kind of a one-sided, let me look and see while we hear the instructor speak. So I have an add-on. So to get an add-on in Google Slides, you can click right up here to add-on, and then what you're able to do is go to get add-ons, and it will go out to the Google store. Pear Deck is very often like right there, but if you have to, you just search it and then click. Once you have given permission for it to work with your ASU Google account, you will have this right here, this Pear Deck icon. So what I'm going to do is click on that. I already have my slides ready to go, but I have to run the add-on. It's almost like running an application within Google Slides. And then I'm going to start my lesson. So you have two options. You can use the student-paced activity and share a link with your students, and they can engage with this content on their own. If you do that, you're going to want to use their account, so they will have to sign in with either, like if it's PowerPoint, sign in with their ASU account, or Google, sign in with their ASU account. And then you can send them takeaways, and they will get actually results of everything that they've contributed and the presentation itself in their files, their OneDrive or their Google Drive. If you would like to do an instructor-paced activity, that's what we're going to do right now. That's live. It's going to be your synchronous engagement using Zoom. And so it's real time. I'm going to click on instructor-paced activity. Now, it's going to ask me to log in myself, because apparently I got kicked out earlier. I do have my set up in my settings right now, so you can all join anonymously. So it's not going to require you to log in. Okay, and I'll show you where you can change that. It's in your account settings. All right, so what I'm able to do now, I can see when students connect, and you can see how you connect. When I do this, I often ask my students to either open another tab on their browsers or to use their phones if they happen to have maybe a laptop and a phone handy. So I will ask them to go to joinpd.com in any browser, and they will put in this particular code, PPRXBA. And then you shouldn't have to log in. You should be able to go ahead and join. And notice it says on the bottom, students are joining with avatars and nicknames. And now remember, there is a way for you to change it so it's actually attached to an account. I'm just demoing it for this version, because actually I gave a presentation to students who were not ASU students. It was a recruiting presentation the other day, and so I used this version of it. And I can see we have 3 students, 4 students. I can tell how many students have joined, and then I will be able to get rolling. I've got 4 students. I will tell you about Pear Deck. You can have students interact by drawing on slides using their devices. And that's another reason that if you do that, if they're using a phone, they're able to just draw with their finger. They can drag and drop different icons to indicate how they feel about something or what they're choosing. You can ask them to respond to multiple choice questions and to write text, just maybe a small paragraph or even a sentence or one word. And there's a numerical option as well. And then another type of question is considered a website question or item, and it gives them the link to a website that they all then have access to on their device, and they can go out and maybe look at it, research it. I have one of those here in this presentation. So once I start class, that code is still going to be visible, the PPRXBA, and students will be able to still continue to go to joinpd.com and put the code in and join. So I'm going to go ahead and start. All right, so I'm just presenting, obviously pretty simple. You can see on your device the same thing that you see on the screen. And this is just an example, right? So they have templates. You can put anything you want on the slide. And like Amy was asking earlier, can you upload different presentations before? You can. So that's one reason I like Pear Deck. You can upload something that you've used before and then add these question types to those particular slides. All right, so what I can do is show responses, and they're going to be anonymous. Even if I had students join by name, I wouldn't see them. And notice it's in real time, okay? How could I use this instead of Zoom screen sharing? And people are just typing in their responses. I have it in list view, but I could choose grid layout. And so notice how that changes. And again, it's nice because we are not, identifying who's saying anything at this point. So I can, as the instructor, just talk about these different things. Okay, I can hide my responses again. I can actually lock the screen. So as students are responding, I can say, okay, time's up. And I can put a timer on by clicking on, it's kind of finicky, but there is a timer that you can also click on. Oh, there it is, it finally came up. I could do 30 seconds, for example. And it's what it does is it actually changes from green to yellow and then to red when it gets down to running through the time. So that's just something that you can do with counting down the time. Another thing is if you decide as you're instructing, you want to ask a different question. You're like, oh, I should have put this question in there. Or your discussion goes in a different direction and you want to adjust, what you can do is click on new prompt, and then you can choose from some of their templates, or you can scroll through and then actually use it current content, but in a different way. So maybe I wanted to change this particular slide into a drawing slide. I can do that. Okay, so for more demo purposes, just so you know, we already talked about the question types. We've got drawing, text, number, multiple choice, draggable website. This is a drawing slide, so feel free to draw on here if you want to, just to kind of show what that looks like. And then what I can do is show responses. What's really nice about this is this overlaid layout, which is the far right. I can see everybody's responses all in one slide. And if I click on grid, that goes back to separating. And then of course I can do the list. And then what that allows me to do is scroll through and see responses. Okay, so that's a drawing slide. All right, the next one, I believe, yes, this is a website slide. So on your devices, you should see the website. On the screen, you can see I have how students connect, and I have Google there and the link to that, and have Microsoft and the link there. They're using their credentials. And then I also have Anonymous, which is what we're using right now. So there are times when in Pear Deck when students may see something different compared to what you're displaying versus what they see on their devices. Okay, so the next one I have here, learning more about Pear Deck. This is going to be a draggable slide. So you should be able to just drag the icon that you see, and you can just drag that to whatever area you think you might want to learn more about. This is just, just to demo the slide. But in the links there, I have a little article about how to teach a remote lesson, how to use the teacher dashboard. So on a different device or on a different screen, if you're using dual monitors, you can actually have the teacher dashboard open and you can then monitor what each individual student puts. And so it's not anonymous. Students can't see it, but you can see it. So it's a really nice feature. So I have that actually open on my monitor right here. And then on my monitor over on the right, I'm looking at the responses. So if I click on show responses, I can see, oh, and look, that was a terrible color choice. I didn't realize I had chosen blue thumbs up on a blue background. So not a good look there that I was doing. Okay, so that's learning more about Pear Deck. Very quick run through. I understand that was really fast. This is an example of a text, I think we already had a text version anyway, or text question, but just ideas on how you might use this particular application. Really just think about converting almost any presentation that you have to a presentation that has engagement or interaction built in it. And then also once students are done, if you have the takeaways set up, they will get a copy. Each student will get a copy of that presentation. All right, so I'm going to show responses. We'll take a look. Q&A tool. We already have someone who's a fan. That's awesome. Cleaner slide presentation than screen share. Student interactions and polling instead of chat, definitely. Yeah. So we've got some good ideas there. So what I want to do now is very quickly take you out to where you would see the settings. And this is linked in the presentation as well, but I'm going to type peardeck.com. And by the way, if you don't know, we have a premium license for all of ASU, so that includes our students. So of course, they can create presentations using this as well, which is a great feature that I think obviously assists them as they are developing their pedagogy and instruction. All right, so I'm going to click teacher login, and it's already going to bring in my info. There I am. We all have little crowns on because this is premium. I'm going to click on that, and then, nope, wait, let me go back, sorry. It's in kind of a goofy place. No, it is in, I think, review account. Yep, so I clicked on that, review account, and then settings. So I have the classroom climate turned on. That's just a little, hey, how you feeling? There is an immersive reader in beta. I have not tried that yet, but that is an assistive piece that you might want to try. Google Classroom, I have that on because I used to use it there. Takeaways. So that's that piece I was talking about. So if you want all your students to get a copy of the presentation and their responses, turn that on. And then require student logins. That's how you would definitely make sure that they get takeaways, and you would require their logins for them to participate in Pear Deck. So that's where you would change those things in settings. So now I'm going to jump back to our presentation, and just to kind of demo, like this is how I would move into a Zoom meeting. So I always have like what we're going to do. And then I have the Zoom icon. I actually created that with some people on there to let them know we're going to go into breakout rooms. And then I'm going to have them work together, shared info. I just put that in there as kind of another little demo tool. And you'll get a copy of this so you can steal it or look at it. Okay, other engagement ideas and learning. I have created a Pear Deck video. I think it's like 10 to 11 minutes long, going through everything I just went through. So you can definitely watch that if you want. You can share it with your students too, because they might want to use it. Other engagement, Play Pause It is something that's coming up. It's a video response. It allows you to input questions and engagement elements in videos. So your students will stop, pause the video, engage with the content that you put in there, and then it will play. It will continue to play. Yellow Dig, social media like discussion tool. iClicker, students can respond using their phone app. Zoom polling, just an idea I use all the time is Google Drive files. I have students collaborate in them, and then oftentimes they'll share their group presentation or collaborative document or slide deck in Slack, and then we all have access to it. Here's an overview of the Engaging Students in ASU Sync presentation that I gave during the summer. So it's available online. And then please make sure that you are in our teaching community. Now, I originally advertised this session for faculty associates, which there are some here. But I also know the site leads are like, oh, and some other people found out about it. So I'm happy to see you here. I am sharing information in the MLFTC faculty support channel in Slack. That's the quickest way for me to communicate because you guys might know that it takes a lot to get an email out to people, like everybody. And so this is the easiest for me. Can I give a quick plug to Yellow Dig? When and why you might use that? Sure. So Yellow Dig, it's a very social media-like platform. If you ever think that you want to use the discussion tool in Canvas, don't, and use Yellow Dig instead. The reason I say that is because it just looks nicer, it's cleaner. Students can add video, so kind of like Flipgrid, they can add 1.5-minute videos or other content discussing things. Like you can have more rich discussion and also set it up naturally so it's not post and then read to others and post and respond to theirs, which is so like not normal feeling. Yeah, Yellow Dig, it actually gives them automatic points if they get likes or loves. I mean, it's totally social media like. And then it also gives them points if they respond to other people's. You can set up all those parameters, like how many words they have to type, how much they have to share. But it's a much more reasonable system, I think, than that artificial discussion board. So that's when I would use it. It is available now. You do have to talk to an instructional designer to get it set up because your class has to be moved in a different sub account in Canvas. So it's a little bit complicated. But I hope you're all in, well, just in that MLFTC faculty support, there's the email address for Office of Digital Learning. I'll put it in there again. And you just basically put a ticket in and one of the instructional designers will help you set that up. Okay, all right. Also, my last plug is we have Ignited Labs online, fully up and running. I have educational technology champions available 9 to 5, Monday through Friday to help you practice these things. So if you're like, well, you know, I want to get it all working and in order before I do this with my students, you can use the educational technology champions as your helpers. And they are versed in this. They're taking these classes, of course, just like your students. They will be able to assist you. You can drop in. So this is just a little depiction of what our website looks like. You can drop in and get immediate help by clicking on this button, or you can schedule a visit. And then we also have videos on there, like that Pear Deck video I was talking to you, trying to also, you know, add more content. And please, we also have social media on there. We have a Twitter account and an Instagram account. So please follow those. We're hoping to start, not hoping, we are going to start some student-based learning sessions that are related to digital technology and digital pedagogy. And those are going to be in October, and they're going to be just quick 5-10 minute jump in as a student and get some help. And of course, we want students to be joining. So please tell everybody about that. And then look, I have a flyer that's going to be coming out pretty soon, like just a PDF with more info that I'll put in Slack. And then also I might be able to email that out to you and ask you all to share it with your students. Okay, so I know that was like a lot. Questions, comments, suggestions, what do you got? Yes, Danielle.
At the beginning, you mentioned that you were recording the chat as part of your attendance.
Yeah.
Is that just part of when you record the lesson itself, or is there a different way that I'm supposed to save a chat box?
Yeah, there's a different setting for that. So
Okay.
if I go to my Zoom, so asu.edu/Zoom and log in, oh, and then sign in. Of course, I got kicked out earlier, didn't realize that. So let me get to my account. There are so many settings in Zoom that if you haven't taken a look, you might miss it. So if I click on settings, right here, notice I have meeting settings, and I can scroll down and see all these things like the waiting room option, passcode options, all these are security. And then let's see here, in meeting chat. allow meeting participants to send chat visible to all, allow private chat, auto saving chat. So this I have turned on.
Okay.
Auto saving, it'll just automatically save. Another thing people like is the file transfer. All right, so if you turn that on, and let's say you have students working in breakout rooms and you want them to share files with each other, maybe they're doing a peer review. If you turn that on, they can just upload files to each other through the chat in the breakout rooms.
And then where does that go? Where does your save chat go?
Automatically gets downloaded. You'll see it actually when the meeting ends. It'll pop up on your computer and then it will be in a folder called Zoom. Now I have a Mac, so it depends on what computer you have, and you can see there's a lot. I probably should go in here and clean some of these up. But then what I do is I click on it, like today, this was our chat for the Control F feature, find, to type their names, so I can very quickly see if they're in there.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure. All right, other questions?
Jody, while you're in Zoom, I have a quick question for you. One of my students can annotate on his PowerPoint slides, but I can't do that. I can only annotate in like a whiteboard feature. Do you know how he's able to do that, but we're not? Like, I don't even have an annotation tool that would come up on when I'm just presenting or sharing a normal like Google slide or something like that.
He's probably not doing it in Zoom, I would imagine. Have you asked?
No, he is. Yeah, he is.
Okay, Tim, are you still on here? Did you leave? Okay. I thought he might know. I'll look into that. I honestly don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
So let me write myself a note.
Thanks.
Yep.
Is it when you are the host for the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, because right now, usually when we're looking at Jody's screen at the top where it says you are viewing Jody's screen and view options, it's the host who sets it up. So usually that's where the annotate is, but she has it turned off.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to do that when I'm just sharing a normal slide, just only when I do the sharing of the whiteboard.
Okay.
But anyway, I don't mean to cause a tangent.
So can you see what I just wrote on that screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it seems like it's probably that then. I mean, it's just using those annotation tools.
But I don't have
And
them.
so if that's the case, then that's right here. Okay. So I have allow saving of shared screens. So I have annotation turned on, allow hosts and participants to use annotation tools.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes up in the toolbar, it looks like a little pen and says annotate.
Jody, you have it, only the user who is sharing can annotate?
Yes, so if I turn that off?
Yes, turn that, oh, I don't know if it doesn't show on our screen that it's off.
There we go, save. Okay. Now do you have the option? Maybe I should, well, there, I stopped sharing. So someone else can try to share if they want to, and I guess that doesn't really matter. Okay. Should I screen share again?
Yes, I think you should.
Let me screen share again, and let me go to this presentation. To share. Okay. So can anyone else write on here?
No.
Interesting.
But do you see annotation tools for yourself?
Yep.
Huh. Okay.
And that's a downside of when I'm presenting in Zoom, I can't show you what I see.
Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah,
Okay.
I will look into that and see what I can find out.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay, any other questions? Okay.
Hi, thanks, Jody. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you already mentioned, but can I download the Jamboard work with Word document? Or if not, what kind of format will be available?
That's a good question. Let's see here. I think, let's see, download as PDF. So we can download it as a PDF. And that was just on my 3 dots over here. So I can click on that and have all of the content.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, anything else from anybody? All right, so I will get all of this information out to everybody, and thank you for joining today. I hope everything's going well, and I hope you all have a nice evening. Bye, you're welcome, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, Jody.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Joanne. She answered a question for me.
Oh, good.